Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Michelle Fee, who's the founder, CEO, and co-owner of Cruise Planners, and Vicky Garcia, who's the Chief Operating Officer and co-owner of Cruise Planners as well. So we wanted to talk. They just finished their first virtual conference. Usually I go to the live ones, but this one was a virtual one. And we're going to talk to them about that, but also talk to them all about what Cruise Planners has been working on during this pandemic. And believe me, it's a lot. We were just going through all it, and you're going to hear all about that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Michelle, first of all, you just finished your first ever virtual CP forum, virtually yours.
We did. Yes, we did.
How did that event go, and how many of your member advisors attended?
So it was our largest event ever because it was virtual.
Is it ever, right?
Right. We had 2,200 attendees, and it was really well received by not only the franchisees, but also our vendor partners. And, in Cruise Planner fashion, we really try to make it fun and interactive, and we had wine tasting and trivia nights. At this point, I think everybody's so zoomed out, right? So we had a mission, and our mission was to be sure that our advisors felt connected and, things were relevant. So, for example, I do an agent panel every year, and it's agents who are not only doing things differently during COVID, but might have some great ideas how to build your business in the future. And my agent panel was based on the movie Jumanji, which of course is like a game board that throws you into another world. And we said 2020 was certainly a Jumanji year. And, it's like the pack of rhinos is chasing you and you're running, but you have no idea why you're running, but you continue to run because it's kind of how we all felt this year, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think the theme that you and Vicky both came out in like survivor gear, which I thought was rather appropriate, although I think it sounds like all of your folks are surviving and thriving. And I don't know, I think my wine tasting got lost in the mail. I thought you were going to be sending the wine, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? We had to go buy our own wine, but hey, you got to do things differently.
Absolutely.
Hey, James, don't forget our survivor gear had bling on it too. So
I mean, it had lots of green bling. Of course, it had. I think CBS is going to pick that up.
Yeah, outwit, outplay, outlast.
There you go. There you go.
You gotta think towards the future.
Now, Vicky, do you think because of the success of this virtual event like this, will you consider doing, when you finally go back, and you will go back to live events, will you still have virtual events or hybrid virtual live events?
James, there's nothing like being in person, right? Especially our group. We're very family driven, huggy feely, and all that stuff. So we definitely will be back to being in person. However, we do see the value of bringing some of our interactions home to people. It involved more people, it involved different levels of interaction. So we're definitely going to work in virtual components, whether it be to this main event or other events that might just be fully on virtual events. It definitely introduced a new complexity that let us still be creative. We weren't sure we'd ever be creative this way, but Zoom has allowed us to do something that's been kind of fun. And you saw some of our productions on there was nothing short of still a live, really cool production. So we're definitely looking at weaving it into the future.
Well, also the attendance was, as Michelle mentioned, was, as I said, the biggest attendance ever. So that's clearly something you can actually get to a lot more folks. I mean, you have great conferences, but generally they're 500-600 or something like that. Now, Michelle, as we did say, the survivor was the theme. How have your travel advisors survived what amounts really is the worst year for travel, the worst year for cruising, especially for cruise travel, Michelle?
Yeah, so we just realized early on how important it was for us to communicate throughout the entire pandemic. So, Vicky and I hosted a Friday update since week one. It just started. We just felt like we needed to connect. And so at first it was just she and I, and, we would just talk to our agents about keeping focus and this will end. And as we realized things were going on, we pivoted a little bit and we started interviewing all the major CEOs. So in the first month, we were interviewing, the Richard Faines and the Frank Del Rios and, the Arnold Donald. We had every single president from every major cruiser tour company. And we even had, or having a special guest, Captain Kate from Celebrity Edge.
Yeah, and as we interview you now, she's coming up, and either this is going to be out around then or not. But Captain Kate is, as you said, is an engaging person to interview.
Yeah, and so this was definitely one of those little silver linings that we will continue well past COVID. And
Michelle, don't forget Bug Naked.
Oh, Bug Naked, right? Her cat. So we do find out a few little things about Miss Bug Naked, which is a female, by the way.
Now, Vicki, have there been some of your travel advisors who have had to leave the business? And at the same point, you may have added some. What's kind of the net growth or loss in terms of the number of advisors who are affiliated with Cruise Planners now?
What's interesting is Michelle and I sat down at the beginning of this thing and said, oh, wait a minute, we're going to lose people. And I don't blame people for losing their hair during this process even. But we said, why don't we we don't know what time frame, is eliminate fees. So we didn't want anyone to leave because they couldn't afford to stay doing business. So we didn't have we had some that leave, but natural, progression. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing, though, to your question is we've actually had growth this year.
Wow, that's great.
We actually had new people to the industry, which we were in shock. We thought they'd run faster than fast to get away from, especially at the beginning of this when, the cruise media was all over the place with, COVID and whatnot. We were selling franchises and people were dying to come down to go to training class. And we've changed all of that to virtual. We've still brought on new agencies this year. We've obviously gotten our fair share of experienced travel agents from other agencies. Sure. Because they've been left either high and dry or didn't get the support, or they have the time now to research other networks like ours or whatnot. But we've gotten some pretty big agents as well from other agencies. So we've had a decent growth considering Jumanji year.
Well, it's interesting because maybe some of that growth. Sadly, a lot of many people in the cruise industry have been furloughed or laid off, and maybe some of them thought, "Hey, I work for a cruise line. Maybe I can sell cruises." And
so we did get some of those too.
No, that seemed to be a natural, and I think I know some of them. But now,
bring it on. If there's some that are out there that are listening in, come on, give us a call.
That's right. Why not? If you care. There might be perfect people to do this.
That's right.
Now, Michelle, and what about, in terms of your cruise planners, your HQ, your home office? Have you managed to keep all your employees, or you had to?
So, at the beginning, we did a minimal layoff. And actually, as of this week, we've brought everybody back from furlough.
Oh, that's great.
But this has been a huge commitment from Vicki and I. There's no way to say it, but we've had to underwrite a lot of it. But we really felt it was the right thing to do. We wanted to make sure that when travel does pick up, we're ready to go at a moment's notice. Mm-hmm. Believe me, this would have been a lot easier if we just shut down and went into hibernation. But we wanted to make sure that we weren't just reacting, but we were being proactive as well. And we didn't want to make sure that we're just reacting to what's happening in the times. We didn't want to forget that there is a future, and we wanted to make sure that we were set up for that.
Well, I do know, a lot of agency groups, unfortunately, had to do a lot of layoffs, a lot of the consortiums. And
this has been hard on us. There's no doubt. There's no easy way around this. But we're proud that we were able to not just adjust our plans, but bring the tools that were needed to adjust to this new normal. But we also wanted to make sure that we continued to innovate by bringing those new systems that we're going to talk to in a minute and tools to our agents that are well beyond past COVID. So again, like I said, we're not just being reactive, but we're also being really proactive.
No, really. And we'll talk about those tools because I'm astounded. Usually I'm not astounded. You always have a lot of tools that you introduce every year, but to do it in this particular year is really a credit to your organization and I think something that your members will really appreciate. Now, Vicki, let's talk a little bit about those touch points again. You were out there talking by doing video interviews, doing webinars. This is how you really kept in touch with your members. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, we found, I think Michelle mentioned a little bit ago, that we found we had to keep in touch with them so that they don't feel alone. And I think we needed it for our own cathartic, process too. So aside from our videos that we do with executives, et cetera, every week, our business development team had many touch points out there. So we have different programs that they were out there literally talking to their group of agents continually, whether it be one-on-one sessions or Zoom and Blooms, which was group sessions. And that way there was always something going on. I mean, every day of the week, there was something happening that people can be a part of, so that they felt like they were always in touch. And again, we have so much training available too. So we refreshed all of our online training. We've got social media courses and et cetera. There was never a day that we did not do outreach, that's for sure.
No, that's great. And constant communication. I mean, you tell all your advisors, you got to constantly be in contact with your clients. And that goes for organizations like yours to be constantly in contact with all your members. That's that's how you're going to come out of this now. We did talk about, I was amazed at all these new marketing programs and technology tools you have for your members. And we wanted to go over some of them. And we're going to talk to each of you in turn about different tools. Michelle, let's start off with you. Can you talk first about what you're calling Task Manager, which you detailed during the conference? What is it, and how can it help your travel advisors?
Well, this is something that our travel advisors had asked for. And so we just kind of took the time, the downtime, if you may say, and kind of built this. It's a system that helps our agents stay organized. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. But it helps them never forget those important business tasks. Like, for example, we'll set up a global task that will be for every booking. So every booking will, throughout the process, will have a task built in already, like, a bookmark to make sure that they didn't forget to offer it and sell insurance on their calendar for final payment. So they don't have to add it into their calendar each and every time saying, okay, I need to add in final payment. Okay, I need to add in, make sure that you sell them insurance, whatever it may be along the line. As soon as they start the booking, all of this will be into their task manager. And if they do a particular task that's one-off or something that they do each and every time they make a booking, or they do a cruise night or whatever they do, they'll be able to set up the task themselves. So again, as soon as they start the booking process, they never have to remember to do that task again.
No, that's great. And as I think you said it during the conference, it is limiting all those little Post-it notes that you have around your computer. So, I got one right here. I'm just going to take that off right now because,
Exactly.
that's how I work. I don't have access to a task manager, unfortunately.
So James, although you weren't there live to see the applause, neither were we. We have a Facebook page, and our agents lost their minds over this tool. They are just so excited about it.
This is one of the favorites, I will say.
Oh, that's great. Now, Vicki, if you talk about another thing, you've launched what you call your new care team to help sort of answer all your advisors' questions as part of sort of a one-stop shop. How does this work, and what makes this a better system than what you had before?
We've grown so much over the years. Company's 26 years old. You start growing, you grow, and you add departments, and you add people, and all of a sudden it becomes, you start calling in and you go, oh, who handles refunds, or who takes care of that? And you get transferred around. And I think it's the nature of a beast. I come from a call center background, and it just happens as you grow. Right. And you realize, stop, what can we do better? And when a call comes in, you own that call. Even if it's about something you have no idea what it's about, you don't know the answer to it, own that situation, own that call, find the answer, and you bring it back. Whether that means a phone call back, that's okay, but it's all tracked through a system, so that problem, or almost like bug tracking that IT people use, it's kind of monitoring that situation, and until it's resolved, it's not closed out. It could be assigned to someone else. It could say, look, this needs a programmer. I've spoken to so-and-so, let's assign to that programmer for them to fix it. Once they fix it, it sends that person a notification that's been fixed. They can call that agent back and it's done. So it's not that wondering of going into the abyss of what department did it go to and who do I call and what's that new person's name or not or whatever. So
yeah, I could use that system to a bunch of other companies that I try to contact, because it's almost impossible to get.
I could use it at my doctor's office.
There you go.
You're like, how do I call them back? They just hung up on me. What happened? Or AT&T or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe an online travel agency, but we won't talk about that. But now, Michelle, there's another new thing you launched. It's called Where to Next Virtual Event Series, which is sort of a turnkey marketing program that takes your clients on virtual tours. Can you talk about this and its impact on sales?
So during the early days, we saw Zoom was everybody's best friend. And we saw a lot of our agents using it to stay in communication and to keep travel alive to their best customers. But there were a lot of agents that may be too shy or didn't really know how to put one of those together. So we started talking about it early on. And we realized maybe, the first month or two wasn't the prime time to be in front of a customer talking about, hey, give us your money for your next trip. So we thought, let's take the time and really devise this 100% turnkey virtual event, which does all the work for the agent. They don't have to do one thing. They don't even have to know about the event. Because, at the beginning or even throughout this, with all the cancellations and the refunds and, the rebookings and all the things that agents are doing, the last thing that they have time for is to worry about sending out invites and following up on invites. So we're able to pull a list of clients based on their past travel history or their propensity to travel, because we know those things. We will set up the invites, where they can sign up. We'll send reminders. And again, most importantly, this is all hands-free. And then each event afterwards is taped, and we can follow up with clients who signed up but might not have attended for one reason or another. We can say, hey, we're sorry you weren't able to attend, but here is the event. Listen to it. Of course, exclusive offers and things like that. So our advisors can send a link via our proprietary system to either the people, we send it out to the people who were signed up, but they might say, oh, you know what? I just met my next door neighbor and they always wanted to go to Alaska. I'm going to send them the link. So they could follow up and send the link to their whole database or maybe just to 5 people or 10 people. And to date, we've had 5 of them. They've all been hugely successful. High participation rates, averaging like over 1,500 participants each one.
Right.
So again, this is one of those things that's silver lining, definitely a keeper after COVID.
No, that's great. And it sounds like a wonderful system going forward. And I do want to talk to you about a follow-up to that in a second, but I wanted to talk to Vicki first about, you've always worked with your members about how to enhance their social media presence and with your CP member agencies, but you're working even more now that we're now in this environment where, people are not traveling or they're not thinking about travel. What's new in terms of social media for CP and what's to come?
Yeah, so we've recently enhanced our CP Social program, which is our social media platform. Super cutting edge. I mean, we will still do the same things we've done. We post for them 2 to 3 times per week. So it's generic travel content, engaging content, not price driven usually. It's very much about where do you think this destination is, to try to get the consumers to engage, to get more likes on their page, et cetera. But this platform allows them also to do their own posts through theirs and schedule their own posts. So if they know that they want to put a, Teachers Week in New Jersey, because that's so specific to that region, we wouldn't post that, but they might because they're locally there. But they can post different holidays that they might want to post that we wouldn't post generically. Or if they have an event, they have a group cruise coming up, they can plan a post for next Tuesday and get that out of the way now, and it'll post next Tuesday for them at 10 a.m. or whatnot. Aside from that, it has very robust reporting, so they can see who's engaged, how many clicks, how many likes. They can share some of that and come up with a marketing plan with their cruise line rep if they're pitching a social media marketing campaign to their Royal Caribbean rep, et cetera. So it's just a very robust platform. They were, again, super excited about this. It's had rave reviews to it. Easy to use, super clean, and they're super excited about it.
No, that's great. And it's so crucial today, given that's how we really communicate. Now, I did want to go back to Michelle about this companion program to your Where to Next virtual event series. You now have a new Where to Next survey of your clients, which tell us a little bit about how this survey works and what it tells you about the clients of your member advisors.
And you're right, it is a companion to the Where to Next survey series, because if we know where they want to go, we can invite them to the series that we're having, because if we're going to do this every so often, you don't want to invite somebody to something that they have no interest in. But people who have high interest in a particular destination, they are more apt to take part in what you're doing. So, we've been working on this survey for quite some time. So we already have been collecting a lot of this data, but it's basically bucket list destinations where the clients want to go in the next 1 to 3 years. So of course, we don't want somebody to put on there, oh, I want to go on an around the world cruise, but you know what? They're more of a premium type cruiser. That's not really reality. So we really want to make sure it's destinations that they are looking forward to going in the next couple of years. And this gives us the roadmap to be able to effectively market that right destination or offer and then invite them to the event, because we have insight of knowing where they want or they're dreaming of traveling to. And it's not only we can pull the data, we have created reports so we can market effectively, but it also allows them to do the same thing. Let's say they start pulling data and they realize, oh my God, I've got a big base of customers that are looking to go to Alaska. Why don't I, go out and create a group or market my, I have a group, maybe I can market to them on behalf of themselves. But it also allows us to negotiate with suppliers. It could be, again, we have a large volume of people that want to go to Alaska. We can go to a particular vendor and say, hey, what can we do? We want to market to this group of passengers or customers for future trips to Alaska. So we know this is a game winner for our advisors, and we're looking forward to really launching it. We're still collecting a lot of data, but early on next year, we're going to go out and be able to start pulling these reports and start sending out the marketing effectively. So
no, that's great. And it's kind of, it's like to get their bucket list and everything else in terms of what they want to do. Let's talk a little bit, Vicki, about something that might be a little controversial down the line, but you're actually going and you're going to be launching a new partner rating system, I guess, for all your members to tell your other members what it's like to working with these people. How will this work, and how will this help your advisors and maybe even your partners, actually?
It's a peer-to-peer, like you just said. So it's really for them to help each other. What happens in today's environment, they go on our Facebook page and they say, has anyone ever sold this product? And usually it's not for the main companies. It's for the little smaller off brands that everyone doesn't know about. And at least here you can go to one place and find that. And people will have to make their own decisions. We'll obviously moderate to make sure no one's, bashing someone just based on one situation or whatever. But I just think it's a good way to have a repository of ratings, if you will, so that we can monitor. Like, look, the pandemic has shown which partners are superb and some that kind of disappeared a little bit. So, or didn't handle the situation well. And it's just a good way to kind of keep track of it. So we're not looking by any means to keep tabs on anyone and to, hold us against our negotiations for the following years and say your ratings are down. But it's not
right. I know that's how you can do that. Sorry, your ratings are down. We might have,
but it's not a bad thing to share. I know some vendors that would say, I want to know what our ratings are, right? Because they want the transparency. So, it's not a bad thing. We're not doing it for anything negative. It's more to help our network keep track of all these things they're trying to keep on yellow pads and papers everywhere.
No, that's, and absolutely, you don't want to have to do that. That's for sure, because and believe me, I've been on some publications where we tried to do ratings and we got into big trouble, but that's another story. So that's the ratings. Let's talk a little bit about, Michelle, about something else that you're working on. It's your new hotel booking engine. When will this be introduced, or actually has it been introduced? And what will it offer? And where do you get all your hotel inventory?
Well, we are going to gather that, and it's going to be custom designed for cruise planners. And again, it will be a comprehensive hotel booking solution, because right now we use a number of different booking solutions, and it's hard for an agent because, we're part of American Express. So they have particular special hotel rates, and they got to look at one source for that. And then they've got to look at another source for something different and for the least expensive rate. So we're going to try to build something that encompasses it all in one place, because I think that is one of the hardest tools or types of travel for agents, because there's so many different places, and they want to make sure that they can compare it. And now we can add, once we build this, we can add hotels as pre and post onto our client cruise sheets or tour bookings or whatever it is that we have. We can add, hotel bookings into it as well. So it should launch sometime in Q2. That's what we're looking at this point.
No, that's great. Now, Vicki, you've also added a lot more. You've really focused a lot on land bookings this past year and heading into the future. Talk a little bit about how you're growing your live bookings for land programs, such as all-inclusive resorts and escorted tours, maybe through such brands as the Travel Corporation, which has all these different tour brands.
Right. I mean, for obvious reasons, again, we had to pivot back in March and April and focus on land even more so, even though we've been doing it for years. So we did that. We now have a live API with the Travel Corporation. We're working on whatever companies have live APIs that we can write to. So again, it's making it one place easy for our agents to book more travel.
No, that's great. And it really is something that I know you've been talking about for a long time and have been increasing, but now you actually have some new tools to do that. Michelle, let's talk a little bit about a new version of your CP app for your members' clients. How does CP app work for clients and how can they use it?
Well, I think we're one of the few that actually builds an app for each agent. So each agent has their own app and their customers can directly speak to them from there. They could see all of their previous travel or their travel that's booked for the future. So we know that each and every year we've got to add additional new features to it. And this year we're adding the all-inclusive properties. So it'll be the first time that we feature any type of land in there, escorted tours. They're going to be able to book buy a tour, like, when they're someplace around the world and they decide 2 days from now they want to take Mike's Bikes in Amsterdam, they can book that right on the spot, right through the app. They have buckets so they can create travel that they can send over to their advisor, and they can favorite things. So they can be looking at cruises to Alaska and they could heart them. And when they heart them, the agent will see that and be able to respond immediately based on, some of the things that your client's looking at.
No, that's great. And it really is something that is really automatic, and it's great for clients. Now, you also, Vicki, you have a new program that everybody has these future cruise credits that were issued last year by major cruise lines. You've now devised a way to keep track of all these credits and make sure your CP members really capitalize on sales. Tell us how this works.
Yeah, so we house them all. We get reports from the major cruise lines and or tour companies, whoever has reports that can give us, and we put them into the system for that agent, whatever clients have open FCCs out there. And as they use them, it ticks them off as being used, or they can tick it off as being used. But that way they can stay on top of those clients that haven't called them about it and say, hey, don't forget you have that FCC, let's book that thing. Or if they talk about something, don't forget you have that future cruise credit, let's book that. We also put a reminder on everyone's website saying if you have an open FCC, and believe it or not, we've gotten consumers that go to our agent site that had booked through somebody else or through the cruise line directly that said, I have an FCC, but I'd rather work with you because I met you at the PTA meeting last week. So they've had future cruise credits transferred over to them. So we've just made it very out there that, we're there to help them book their future cruise, but we're keeping that repository of those that our agents themselves, their clients have.
And we also manage them as well. So we create marketing on behalf of the agent because we're pulling those reports. So if you have a particular vendor that you have a future cruise or tour credit, we're sending you, could be, promotions or specials based on that particular vendor, and saying, hey, James, you have XYZ vendor, here's a special promotion, and you have a future cruise credit or tour credit. So call us and we'll help you book it. And that's hands-free to our agents. So we're sending those out on a weekly basis.
So that's great with the future cruise credits, but then you have another tool, which is really something you will have for a long time. You have your marketing, your CP marketing hub. Michelle, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we just know how hard it is for agents to, kind of put together a complete marketing effort. So this is something that they can do all in one place, and it will actually create their plan. Could be a month, could be, a quarter, could be for the year. How are they going to lay out their year? And what I love most of all, and I'll keep this simple, is it kind of, helps them keep track of the plan as well as co-op. And it could create a proposal for them, which is, top notch and looks professional, but then it also keeps track of the dollars that come in from it. Let's say you're doing a cruise night event and you've got 4 different vendors that are taking part in it, and each one of them are giving you a piece of co-op. You can keep track of who's paid, who hasn't paid, and it's not this big long spreadsheet. Again, it's all in our back end office tool in one easy place, one click of a button.
No, that's great. And I'm sure and you guys have been really innovative with all the marketing plans, and now to just have a whole place where it's centralized place where they can find all this stuff is going to be great.
And James, also to that point is, suppliers love this tool, but also they can track goals to that as well. So they can actually set goals by supplier and track their progress to that goal. So they can meet with their BDM and say, okay, here's my co-op, here's the marketing plan, but here's the goals I have for sales for it. Right. And throughout that month or quarter or year, track to how they're progressing to that quarter. And that BDM can watch that growth as well with that.
No, that's great. As you said, it's not just your members, but also your suppliers, your cruise lines, and others. And then there are a couple of questions I wanted to ask both of you, because during the virtual conference, you were very optimistic about. Why do you remain so optimistic about travel's return, and in particular cruising's return? Obviously, every day today, we got people getting the vaccine today. When do you think and hope this will happen, and what is 2021 gonna look like? Well, Vicki, I'll start with you. So why are you so optimistic? And then I'll get to Michelle, and then we'll match the answers and see if you're both right.
There you go. I know, right? We can't be kicking each other under the table right now because we're not in the same room. So, number one, my personality is to be optimistic. I don't believe in being, a Debbie Downer. I'm all about being optimistic about life in general. We live in South Florida. We get to look out at the ocean here. So we can't wait to see cruise ships out there. Every time I see one, it brings tears to my eyes. But I just think cruising is resilient. It's going to come back stronger than ever. That's why we've stayed with our pedal to the metal, even though the pedal hasn't been pushed full speed because it's been a rough year. Mm-hmm. But we've kept pedaling so that when it does come back, it's hop on, baby, let's keep going. So It's not a matter that we stopped and have to revamp and build up again. We've kept pedaling and we're ready to ramp up.
No, you do seem with all the products and services that you've developed over the past year, you're ready to hit the ground running, and you already are. Michelle, the same question. What has made you so optimistic about the future?
So, let's make no mistake. This has been painful. We're all feeling stress. But Vicki and I, like she said, we choose, and that's the word, we choose to be positive, because to us, what's the alternative? And we don't want to lose sight on the fact that we have to stay diligent. And, I always say there's 3 things we can do. We can freeze and do absolutely nothing. We can be negative and just give up, or we can forge ahead and stay positive and continue to look for the future when we know travel is going to resume. So you see, for us, there's no choice.
No, absolutely. And I do agree with both of you that we are going to emerge from this. How quickly is another story, and how quickly. And that goes to my last question to both of you. Do you believe, obviously we got this CDC new ruling for the framework for reemerging to cruising, and it was quite a complicated 40-page document, and now all of the lines are working diligently to do that. Are they all going to be able to do this, or is really the salvation going to be the vaccine? I'll start with you, Michelle.
So, we're seeing the second half of the year really solid, but realistically, none of us just know what that first half of the year is going to look like. The vaccine, I think Richard Payne just came out with another one of his famous videos. And I think he even says, yippee. So he does. There is a light at the end of this long tunnel, but I don't think we're quite there. But I do think, we finally can see an ending in sight. And so again, I choose to be positive. I choose to focus on, what we can control and not worry about the things we can't control. And we will be there for the rebirth of travel in 2021. That's a cruise planner promise.
Absolutely. And then, Vicki, do you think the cruise lines are just waiting for this vaccine at this point so they maybe don't have to go through all these 4-phased approach of the CDC?
I think they've gone through so much of it already to get prepared that I think we're ready to go. I'm probably one of the most exciting things for me, and it's kind of hard to say I have something exciting out of this year. And it's unfortunately I'm calling out one brand, but they're going to love it. Is that Muster 2.0 that Royal Caribbean company put out to not have to go muster anymore? I'm just excited about that. The bars don't close, and you don't have to go muster. That's a good thing.
Vicky, then you and I, when we go on these new cruise lines, we can't just hang out with our life jackets out in the front there. That was part of that was a social thing too, right?
I'll meet you. Don't worry.
In the bar, right? In the bar.
Exactly. We'll meet you at the open bar. Exactly.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, we're all hoping that this is going to be sooner rather than later for cruising, although now everyone seems to have pushed back their start dates well into the late spring in many cases. We just hope that they can get back, and by then maybe there will be a lot of people who have been vaccinated by April, May. But again, we're all waiting for this. Any last comments, both to your members and to travel at large? First, Michelle.
I just keep saying to people, hang in there. It's going to happen. And we've got to, again, stay positive because, again, there is no choice. And travel's in our blood. So there's nothing more that, any of us want to do for a living. So we got to just hang tight, and we will start to see, the changes, I think, shortly after the new year.
And Vicki, any last comments from you?
Yeah, be kind to one another, show everyone that you care. And to me, the most important thing, and our network knows this a lot, is not only wear a mask, but washy, everybody. I don't think this goes away. You got to wash your hands, and you got to be safer now than ever. I just think it's a new way to move forward. And so everyone knows me as the washy lady around here now. So just go out there and be kind. Let's take care of each other.
Well, obviously, health and safety now is the new luxury in travel. And I think we've, in a way, a lot of the procedures that they've developed, cruise lines have developed, and other hotels, resorts, I think are great for the future. If it's not COVID, it might be something else someday. And as you said, we should all wash our hands. We should probably stick with the mask for a while. I know that's tough for a lot of people, but it's still some of the crucial things that we have to do for travel going forward. Listen, I want to thank you both for taking the time to speak with us. Congratulations on this successful virtual conference, your first. We'll be looking for more of those, although we darn well want those live ones, that's for sure. But I want to, again, thanks very much.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you both. And I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.